Okay, so let's go over what are like terms. Like terms can be constants, so I can combine 2 and 3. So I could do 2 plus 3 and get 5. Or I could do 2 minus 3 and get negative 1. So all constants are like terms. If you're not doing a constant, then you're going to have 2x plus 4x. These are like terms because they both have the same variable x, which means I can combine the coefficients. When I do that, I can get 2 plus 4, which equals 6, and then I got to add my variable, 6x. So things like anything that has the same variable, 2x and 4x are like terms, 3a, negative 5a are like terms, x and 4x are like terms, 2x squared and 3x squared are like terms, or it could have been a negative 2. It doesn't matter if your coefficient is positive or negative. As long as it has the same variable, you can combine them. Okay? Now, things that you can't combine are going to be if you have a constant such as 3 and the variable 3a. We cannot combine those because 3a has a variable a and 3 does not. Okay? So let's start about combining like terms. Now, can I combine 2a plus 3a? See how they both have the same variable a? Which means I can combine it. I'm going to get 5a. Okay? 4x and 6x, they both have the same variable. 4x minus 6x is going to give me negative 2x. I can't forget the variable. You got to add the variable. This is supposed to say, there we go, negative 2g squared plus 14g squared. They both have the variable g squared, so I can combine my constants. Negative 2 plus 14 is going to give me negative 12, and then I have to add my variable g squared. Same thing with plain constants. 10 minus 6 is 4. Okay. Now let's look at number 6. See how I have an a right here, but I don't have an a right there? That means there are no like terms, so this just stays as 7a plus 3 because I cannot combine them. Here I have x and y. I cannot combine x and y. So it's going to stay as 10x plus 4y. Here I have x squared and x. X times x is not the same thing as x. Okay, so it's going to stay as 2x squared minus 3x because they're not like terms. Same thing for number 9. This has c to the 3rd power and c to the 4th power. They're not like terms, so they're just going to stay the same as 7c cubed minus 9c to the 4th power. Notice how on this side, everything had the same term. The same variable, so I could combine it. Over here, I don't. I have an a here, I have an x here, and a y. I have an x squared and an x. Then I have a c cubed and a c to the 4th. They are not like terms. That's why they stayed the way they are, because you cannot combine them. Now, a lot of people are getting confused when you just have a plain variable. If you have just a plain variable, you put the coefficient 1. So this is saying 1p plus 1p equals 2p. Negative p plus p, that's saying negative 1 plus 1. Listen, that actually cancels out as 0. That wasn't a very good example. But let's say I had negative p plus 3p. Then that would be negative 1 plus 3, which would give me 2p. Okay? I'm going to put a 2 right here. All right. Now I have negative p minus p, so it's negative 1 minus 1, which is negative 2p. And here, it's 1p plus 1p plus 1p, which equals 3p. All right. Same thing for over here, x plus x. if you see a variable by itself, you can put a 1 in front of it. That gives me 2x. This is saying negative 1x plus 2x is going to give me 1x, or I could just say x. All right, this is negative 1x minus x, which gives me negative 2x. If you don't know this, just type it in your calculator. This is saying 1x plus 1x plus 1x equals 3x. Okay, let's go to the next one. All right, now let's look at combining these. I can combine these because they both have the variable m. So that's saying negative 7 minus 11, which equals negative 18m. Okay, I have 10x plus 8x, which gives me 18x. I have a 12w and just a plain 13. They're not like terms because this has the variable w and this does not. So it just stays as 12w minus 13 because I cannot combine them. Here I have 5r squared and 13r squared. They are like terms, so I can get 18r squared. Here I have 14x squared and 5x. These are not like terms, okay, because it does not have this exponent. So it's just going to stay as 14x squared plus 5x. Okay. Now let's look at things that have more than 2 terms. This is where it gets tricky. I want you to circle your first term and ask yourself, can I combine anything else with 12x? Well, I know that 12x and this negative 3x are like terms and I can combine them. It's important that when you're circling your term, you include the sign in front of it. Okay, so 12x minus 3x, 12, 11, 10, 9, which gives me 9x. And then I just have this plus 2. I can't combine it with anything, so it just goes as plus 2. And this is my answer because I can't combine those two because they're not like terms. All right, here I go again. I circle my 10x. Is there anything I can combine with 10x? No, so I'm just going to bring them over here. Okay, now I have this minus 7 that I can combine with this 4. So that's saying negative 7 plus 4, which equals negative 3. And that's my final answer. I can't combine those because they're not like terms. Here I have 12x and negative 2x and 6x. I can combine all of those because they have the variable x. So I would just type in my calculator 12 minus 2 plus 6, and I get 16, and I got to add my variable x. Okay, now let's look over here. I have 15x. 15x and this negative 2x, see how I included my sign? I can combine those and get 13x. Now I have this plus 8. I can't combine that with anything, so I just bring that on down to right here. All right. Now let's go to the next problem. I have 12. I can't combine 12 and negative 6x because they're not like terms, but I can combine 12 minus 9, and I get 3. Okay, then I have this minus 6x. I can't combine it with anything, so I bring it on down. Okay, I have a 10y that I can combine with this negative 4y, and I can combine it with this negative 8y. They're all the same like terms because they all have the variable y. So I would just type in my calculator 10 minus 4 minus 8. And you get negative 2, and you got to add your variable of a y. Okay. All right, now let's look when we have more than 3 terms. I'm going to do the same thing. I have 7x. I can combine 7x with this negative 12. So 7 minus 12 equals negative 5, and I got to bring down my x. Then I have this positive 8 that I can combine with this minus 13, and 8 minus 13 gives me negative 5. And I keep my answer because I can't combine these because they are not like terms. Okay. Now let's look at this one. I have negative 25. I can combine negative 25 with this positive 7. So that's negative 25 plus 7, and I get negative 18. Now I have this minus 9x and this plus 14x. So I would type in my calculator, negative 9 plus 14, and I would get positive 5x. And that's your answer. You can't combine those because negative 18 and 5x are not like terms. All right, I circle my first term. Do I have anything else that I can combine with 3y? No, I do not, so I just bring it on down. Now I'm going to go to this. Do I have anything that I can combine with 12x? No, I do not, so I just bring it on down. See why it's important to include the sign? That way you know what you're doing when you bring it down. Now I have this, that's a bad triangle, this negative 4, and I combine negative 4 plus 13, and that gives me 9, a positive 9. And this is my answer. I cannot combine those because they're not like terms. All right, let's look at the last one. I have 12z. I can combine 12z with negative 8z, and I'll get 4z. And then I have this positive 9 that I can combine with this positive 12, and 9 plus 12 equals positive 21. And then I'm just left with this minus 4x because there was no other like term, so I just bring that on down. And this is your answer. You cannot combine them because these are all different terms. Okay. All right, I think this is our last one. And let's do this one together. 14x, I can combine with negative 9x, and 14 minus 9 equals 5. I got to include my variable. Okay. Then I have this 5 that I can combine with the 7. So 5 plus 7 gives me positive 12. And then I'm just left with this minus 12z. I meant for that to be green for all my visual learners. Okay. This one, I can't combine with anything, so I have minus 12z. And that's it.